Welcome to the First Time Facilitator podcast. Whether you're a first-time facilitator or a seasoned pro, listen in for tips and tricks to make a bigger impact at the next workshop you deliver. And now, your host. She puts her left shoe on before her right shoe, always, Leanne Hughes.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Leanne Hughes, and I'm here to help you develop and deliver workshops that kill. In the last couple of months, I've been getting different types of guests on who can really stronghold our facilitation game. I had Julian Mather on recently sharing his advice about creating video content. Jason Knight, who is an outstanding graphic designer, sharing his tools for creating more impactful workshop resources. And today, I've invited a stylist on the show. I know that when it comes to speaking on stage or facilitating workshops, you want to give out your best impression and you want to wear something that reflects who you are, but sometimes that's difficult to figure out. You also don't want to spend hours before each speaking engagement thinking about which outfit to wear. There's definitely a reason why Steve Jobs wore the same outfit day in and day out. It was so that he could use his energy on more complex tasks. I was talking recently to Sarah McMahon from Greatness Magnified. She was on the show back in episode 39, and she also shared that she has one speaking outfit that she loves, that the audience loves, that she feels great in and confident in. And it just helps you plan for an upcoming gig so much easier. I met today's guest through another previous guest, Petra Zink, and we all, the three of us, collaborated on a workshop in Brisbane last year based on personal branding and communication. My guest is Majella McMahon. And on that evening of our workshop, Majella spoke beautifully about personal branding, and she also writes beautifully too. So if you're after some inspiration on good copy for a website that really speaks to your target audience, I would recommend checking out her website at thestyleryco.com. Majella not only communicates brilliantly in the written and verbal form, but also with the way that she dresses. She's a stylist and an absolutely brilliant one at that. I also follow her on Instagram and she posts some wonderful images and captions to inspire you in the wardrobe department. Now, a bit of a disclaimer, I know we have a gender split audience and Majella primarily works with women and style. So this conversation is skewed towards that. So apologies to the blokes out there. But the good news is that her message is relevant to everyone. So I also encourage you to listen in and I'm sure there'll be some good nuggets in there for you as well. Who is Majella? Well, Majella McMahon helps women connect their brand to their business in an authentic, powerful way. She shows women how to become visible, recognisable and shine, and she facilitates the connection between brand, storytelling, style, outfits and imagery. If you're looking for more confidence, a distinctive style that makes you look beautiful, clarity in your career or business, visibility and memorability, and impacting more people, then Majella is a stylist you need to talk to. Now, this is the third week that I've been promoting my competition/workbook/collaboration of wonderful games that you can play using dice. That's D-I-C-E, dice. Have you ever used dice at work, rolled a dice in a meeting, in a conference, or to make a decision, or to simply have fun? If so, I'd love to hear how you've used it, in what context and what the activity was, as I'm creating a bit of an amalgamation, a workbook of weird and wonderful ways to use dice. So hop onto firsttimefacilitator.com/dice to share your game and I'll keep you posted on when that creation makes it out. Be great to hear all your ideas. This competition/collaboration will close mid-June 2019 in case you're listening in future. If you'd like to continue the conversation when the show is over, join our free Facebook group called The Flip Chart. It'd be great to see you there. We just share all of our experiences, tips, tools, and ask questions of the group. As always, you can view show notes for this episode and view the links for all the great work that Majella is doing at firsttimefacilitator.com/episode 66. Now, on to the show. I would like to welcome to the First Time Facilitator podcast, the ever amazing Majella McMahon. Majella, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Oh, it is my pleasure, Leanne. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm very excited that you're here as well. I think I reached out to you. It was probably halfway or midway through last year, and I was packing to go to run a strategic leadership day down in Sydney. Well, it's actually over 3 days, and I'd got all my content and everything ready. But as I was packing, I was just really freaking out about what I was going to wear. So I thought you'd be a perfect guest to bring on. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has this concern when I'm ready to pack and facilitate. But first, I'd love for you to share your story with the audience. And I know that you didn't start your career styling, but can you share what kind of career pivots led you down the path to where you are now running the Stylery Co?
Sure. I often get asked this question because I think that styling and being a stylist is one of those careers that people don't really know how to become one or what it actually means to be one, because not many people are stylists, and the perception that only famous people or rich people use stylists. So I always find it interesting when people are like, but how did you become a stylist? Like, it's like this mystery, which incidentally really feeds into my creative, the need to be a little bit different and unique and individual, which is actually a really common need in almost all humans. So many women come to me thinking that they're looking for one particular outcome or look or style. And by the end of our experience together, they literally talk about how they've uncovered this whole different side to themselves. So how I became a stylist, I followed some creative pursuits. I am a writer, first and foremost, always words where I express myself either in written or in speaking. I became a journalist because that made sense to me. I love writing, so I will become a journalist, except that I hated it and that I don't like to document the news and I don't like to be told how to do things. And especially in journalism, there are a lot of guidelines and restrictions. And there was back when I was doing it at university, I found it quite dry and dull. So I was kind of doing that, but also exploring lots of other creative endeavors. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. I was at university studying journalism and I wasn't creatively fulfilled, but I wasn't sure what else to do. So I just kept doing it, but I did all these other things on the side. I was involved in lots of interesting art projects and I was part of different groups and I did drama and I was, really interested in costume design and photography. And I followed this path of, I got a degree and then I got into magazines and I did an internship at Frankie magazine. And then I was, I'd write for various magazines overseas and back home. I was present to a lot of things that happened within magazines, which are photo shoots and press releases and publicity related things. And in the midst of all this, I went traveling around the world with a group of friends. And one of them was really into fashion as a form of expression. And she totally changed the way I looked at clothing. Like, she helped me view it with an architecture slant. So I looked at like the cut and the make, and then she helped me see it as art and how you could see things and how they could be blended together and how clashing could often still equal beauty. And she also took away the rigidity and the rules of fashion, which I had really felt as a teenager and in my early teens, of like trying to fit in or be cool. And so she would literally get fabric and like staple it into a shape and then wear it. Those three parts, like the architecture, the art, and I guess the fearlessness and the lack of adhering to rules, totally changed the way I looked at fashion and clothing and style and the way things are produced and the way things are worn. And it then really changed the way I viewed what I was doing. And I started collecting vintage clothing. And then I sent it home because I was collecting so much of it. And I became a little bit obsessed with clothes and wearing different things and trying to find, I guess, my style personality. And especially overseas where there isn't, I guess, the watchful eyes of people, there's this sense of freedom of like, oh, even if I wear the worst outfit in the world, no one will see me, And this was way before the time of mobile phones. So like you had to use like film to take a photo. So you could really, keep things private if you wanted to. But yeah, I started this online vintage store selling dresses called Get Your Frock On. And then I was assisting on shoots and kind of helping out other stylists. And then I was approached by Westfield to start helping with their fashion team. So I was doing visual merchandising with them. And then I started styling clients. And then I did that for about 4 years. And it allowed me to work with hundreds of women and get very thorough and rapid hands-on experience with a vast array of different women in terms of sizes and ages and personalities. And it allowed me to really see what most women were struggling with. And I felt like I wanted to provide a different solution rather than this kind of quick fix. Here's some outfits. Here's how you can be on trend. Here's how you can, just look good. It was like, how do I teach women how to use clothing in the way that I've learned, which is as a tool to navigate the world and express myself and comfort myself and stand out or become invisible, to change my mindset or my energy or my posture. How can I teach other women to do this and in a way that I will enjoy and feel good, and utilizing my kind of genius zones as well? Then I started my own company so that I could then set the rules and the parameters and how I wanted to do it. And I end up spending a full day with clients and doing lots of pre-work and research and those kind of things, so that I actually got to know the woman and then could dress the body. So it became that marriage of the inner and the outer when we worked together. And then I've been doing my own business now for 2 years, maybe 3 this April.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's
yeah,
some
it's gone
time.
really quickly. Like, I have been doing styling since I was 22. So that's 16 years now. It has been a journey, but in the last 3 years when I really created a method to deliver it in a way that felt empowering and stepped away from consumerism or adhering to traditional standards of beauty and style, that was really important to me as well. So I set up a business where I didn't want to just churn out numbers, and I didn't want people to just have a one-stop kind of solution. I wanted something that they could take with them as a life skill.
Yeah, and I've noticed that from the testimonials on your website, and even I think you share sometimes some of the feedback you've got on Instagram stories as well. It's rarely about the process of just picking clothes. It's something more, like people get inspired. They feel that they've been transformed, that you've found something in them that they didn't see for themselves. That is a really unique skill set that you have and that you bring. What do you think about it? I guess as facilitators, when we look at facilitating workshops, we're there to create some kind of change and unleash some potential in the people that are in our workshops. And I think that's very parallel to what you do in terms of your medium is using style, but you're really unleashing this human energy and this potential that you see in the clients that work with you. How do you approach that? Because I know, like, if I was to see a stylist, I'd be like, yeah, I know what I like. This is my style. We just need to find places that sell this kind of thing. How do you, I guess, challenge clients to try something on that they haven't tried before? Are they open to it before they engage you?
I think that if someone has booked me as a stylist, then generally, because it is quite an emotional decision and because it is set up as an education service, not just a style service, I guess, people, by the time they're actually working with me, they've got this level of trust that they're going on a journey and they're very willing to try and jump out of comfort zones and be open-minded. Because I think that if you are seeking like a very fashion-only solution, you wouldn't have booked me. You wouldn't have picked me. You wouldn't have resonated with what I share on Instagram. The clients I work with now, they're wanting a bigger experience. They're wanting to be pushed. They're wanting to see themselves in a different light. They know there's something more. They see the potential in themselves, but they can't see it in a realized actuality yet. And that's where their disconnect is. They kind of acknowledge that they know that they can look better and feel better, and that lots of other women appear to be able to navigate this style path very easily. So why can't they? And they then realize that maybe it's just that they don't know the right things, or they don't have the knowledge they need. They don't care enough to learn the skills, but they care enough to want the outcome. So I kind of step in different ways to facilitate. Some people, they just don't like the shopping component. So they just want someone they are clear on what makes them feel good, what they like to look like, but they just don't want to navigate finding those choices in the stores. So I can do that part for them as well. And then I'm always like, why don't we throw this in? I have this intuitive sense when I look at someone from years of doing it, and it's just something that the same way maybe an artist looks at a canvas. I don't know. I don't really call myself an artist. So I just kind of throw paint at a canvas. But I think it's that same thing. When I look at a woman, I dress her in my mind. I'm like, oh, this would work for her. I can see her in this. Like, it's literally, I just see her in outfits. Like, so then when she says, oh, I couldn't wear that, I'm like, oh no, I can see it. Like, you could totally wear that. And so then most women are willing, they have a trust that I have got enough experience and have developed my skills to a level where they will come on that journey with me. And also I create a space, which I think is really important for anyone facilitating a journey of any kind, that there is the space for them to react how they want to react. So there is no expectation that they have to love everything. In fact, I want them to tell me why they don't like things so that they can learn to articulate what they like and what they don't. So it's a really safe space to say, oh, I don't feel good in this. I don't like this. I think I look old. I think I look fat. And sometimes it's an objective truth. I'm like, that doesn't suit your body, but here's why, because this is too short. This is too long. This is too blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's because of a belief that they hold that filters the way they see themselves. And so I'm like, can we step back and look and see that objectively and proportionally that this works, but that you're unable to see that you're beautiful or that you're sexy or that, like sometimes it's not truth. It's the way they see themselves or aren't allowing themselves to see themselves, if that makes sense.
I totally get it. I think every maybe female, maybe some male listeners will agree. We've all been in times where I've been in the store and the shop assistant's throwing me something and I'm like, nah, that would never work. I just instantly dismissed it. And then you try it on, you're like, oh my gosh, that looks pretty good. So it's really fascinating. So, I mean, you've worked with a lot of high-powered corporate women, so women that are in, giving high stakes presentations, possibly doing speeches and that kind of thing. Do they approach you for specific outfits for when they take the stage, or is it just, I need an outfit for my 9 to 5 and, maybe I'll pair some heels with it because I'll need to use it on stage? Have you done work like that before for people that are in the public speaking / facilitation training game?
I have, and I find that women who are clear on what they want and what outcome they're seeking are often very specific around their needs. But once we kind of look deeper into it, we can often find that they are just looking for a simple solution because to delve any deeper could feel overwhelming. So I have lots of women who come in and they're just like, I have to do this presentation. I want to look really good. I think I just need a new jacket. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, do you like everything else? Do you like, what are you trying to say from stage? Or like, who's seeing this? Or are you clear on what your values are and what you want to communicate to the world? Because that encompasses more than just clothing. It will encompass how they stand, the way they talk, the energy they bring, how they act when they're not speaking as well. So there's always a range of things that contribute to how you're perceived. But I find that sometimes my high-powered clients come in and they're just like, well, this is how it's done. So I guess I just have to keep doing it. Like I just have to wear a blazer and heels because that's how I look professional and powerful. And I'm like, yes, but there are many other ways to look powerful and professional and also more authentic and in alignment with who you are as a woman. Like the stereotypes keep being perpetuated because we keep perpetuating the stereotypes.
Yes.
So sometimes with my clients, I genuinely feel like they are in alignment. I'm like, yes, you are a power suit woman, or your style, and I'm just going to give you some different options and I'm going to find it for you quickly so that it's a really painless and fast solution. And then other women, I'm like, I feel like you're not sure. I don't think that you look the way you want to look, even though you're telling me otherwise. It's like the gut instincts that kick in here where I'm like, it's, you can tell when someone's physically uncomfortable or nervous or anxious if you are good at reading people. And it's the same with people and their clothes. For me, I'm like, oh, this person, it's a little bit of a costume for them. Like they're putting this on, but I don't think it's really them. Or they're putting this on and it looks good, but they're physically uncomfortable. I wonder why. sometimes it's not the clothes. Sometimes they're stressed or they're anxious or there's something else going on. But sometimes it's that they feel like that skirt is hard to walk in, or they feel like a man in that blazer, or they feel like that color is too bold, but everyone tells them that red looks so good on them. So they keep wearing it, even though they feel blinded by their own blouse. There's, it goes down one of two ways usually with my high powered kind of clients. It is very like, they're in alignment and that's why they're at the top. And I'm just kind of facilitating a style solution that's really easy and fast for them. So it doesn't involve time or effort. They just get the outcome they want. And so I just draw on all the stuff that I do behind the scenes to be able to say, here are, a selection of amazing options. Tell me which ones you want. And then the other side of it is, I think that you're maybe not quite in alignment and we could shift things a little for you, because there's lots of women who don't want to wear pencil skirts and fitted blazers, but it is one of those things that it's kind of like their uniform, and it's so you just keep doing it because to change it requires thought and effort and time and usually money. So, if it ain't broke, let's not fix it. But they're underestimating the impact that it has when you feel physically, emotionally, and psychologically comfortable in your clothing. Like, it has such a massive difference, like impact on women more so than men. Sorry, men. Like, I know you're listening, but
yeah, it's definitely part of my criteria as well now, is feeling comfortable. You don't want to feel self-conscious, particularly if you're going to have like 100 set of eyes on you for the rest of the day. Like, you want to be sure that you're moving with ease and with grace. I have to quickly go back though, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one on the spot, but it is funny you said that we associate high-powered women with the power blazer and these super high heels, and completely agree. What kind of alternatives do you provide if it's not a power blazer? Like, what is it? Accessories? Is it a combination of different things? What could supplement the power blazer? What could we swap in and out?
In terms of practical solutions, I always go back to great tailoring first. So whatever you choose, if it fits really well, that will definitely create beautiful lines. And from beautiful lines come elegance and sophistication, which is a quieter type of power. Something like a high-waisted palazzo pant, which is a wide leg pant, which creates a beautiful line for women, but taps into that slightly masculine styling of a pant versus a skirt. Really interesting neckline. So if you do a cow neck is softer. That's the one which kind of has a little bit of extra fabric that drapes at the front. Doing a really strong V-neck, is the angles of that can be really powerful. Accessories, definitely. So doing a statement earring or a bold necklace, using a really strong print. You want to be cautious with a really strong print if you're filming. So if you know that you're being filmed for that talk, I would always just set up your phone and film yourself in your outfit moving, because often some outfits can look really great in real life, but when they become 2D in a photo or like a video, even though you still see a bit more of the 3D aspect, you can start to look shapeless or short, or it's like you've lost your neck because it's a high neckline, or your limbs look disproportionate because you're not showing any wrist. So it's suddenly like, oh, it's like this jacket looks like it's way too long for me. But in real life, it actually looked like it was the right size. Or you can't see your waist because you're wearing a black belt. And so in real life, you can see the texture of that and you can see the soft outline. But from far away or from a photo, you can't tell. And so suddenly it's like you just have no shape underneath. There's all these subtleties.
Yeah. You've just opened up a whole new world for me, even in those last 2 minutes of everything that you've dropped. I didn't even, that wasn't even on my radar.
If you go deep and narrow into a topic, that's often where like the gold is, rather than kind of skimming the surface. And so because I'm so passionate about using clothing and style as a tool for communication, for changing states, for creating impact, for being able to influence and create a perspective, there are so many subtleties as well. So, like you start with the broad strokes of like great tailoring, picking colors that flatter your skin tone, picking items that reflect who you are in terms of your personality. So like not wearing a power blazer if you're more of like, you could wear a beautifully fitted long line cardigan. So it kind of almost has this feeling of a trench coat, but it's like, because it's a cardigan, it has more flow and movement. So some women are really affected by fabric. So like having something that actually feels really good, so slinky or soft, and other people are affected by structure. So some things that have no structure that float and flow make people feel relaxed and or they can communicate because they are in a state of movement, and other people need structure because it makes them feel held or safe or protected or powerful. So that's where the whole kind of like pencil suit, bodycon dress, structured blazer comes into play, because it is a little bit like armor. Like it creates like a clothing armor, whereas you have to really often have more confidence to get up on stage in a floaty dress, because it doesn't provide the same type of stereotypical perceptions of this is a strong outfit. But if you get up there and you had like a beautiful statement red lip or something, or you had some metallic jewelry that was a bit angular or edgy, that will bring in elements of strength to an outfit as well. And it all still has to tie back into, first and foremost, you and what you want to communicate. So there would be countless options that would suit any particular person, but not all of them will suit all the aspects of themselves. So yeah, there's always an alternative to a power blazer.
Wow. Yeah, you've given us dozens of alternatives. I think I've got like 5 blazers.
I mean, I love a good blazer. Like, you know, if you go back through my Instagram, I was obsessed with white blazers for a few years because I loved the clean lines. I loved how sleek and minimal and modern they feel. I don't have a white blazer anymore. I do have one but it's covered in like studs and embellishment, and it, you know, it's not like, I don't know if you'd even call it a white blazer. It's kind of like a studded like metal jacket with some white fabric underneath it. But it's just that, as with everyone, you will evolve through stages of style, and you're allowed to like things and then not like them anymore. Like you don't have to be rigidly attached to, well, I'm a facilitator and I need to wear a blazer because that's kind of the only way I can communicate to my audience that I'm professional and reliable and a leader. Like there are many ways to do that in alignment with who you are and what you do as well.
Yeah, that's great, because I do look at like thought leaders around Australia and the US, and you know, speakers that are killing it on stages, and they just all seem to have that kind of look. So I think it's wonderful to start, and for listeners as well. And I think I'm keen to join this revolution of just trying other things out and to bring our authentic selves to the stage, and we don't have to pretend to be something we're not. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Majella. As facilitators, we're also really aware that we have to stay up to date with all the latest trends in education and training resources, workbooks, all that sort of stuff. Do we also have to stay up to date with all the trends and clear out our wardrobe and start again at the start of a new season? Or what's your approach with trends and fashion?
I don't believe in trends or adhere to trends or follow trends, other than having an awareness of them, because it means that there will be more of that available in the stores. So if one of the trend colors of winter is rust, which it is, or mustard, which it is, there will be a lot of rust and mustard tones in a lot of brands in the next couple of months, which means that it's great if those colors suit you and your skin and they work in with how you want to express yourself. Not so great if you are a lover of soft pastels in like blush pinks and pale lilac, because there will still be those options around. They just won't be as available. So in terms of trends, I feel like that is something that, especially in the fashion industry, was set up to encourage consumers to continually buy. Whereas I'm of the belief, and I think that the momentum of the movement is growing too, is to invest in pieces that you love and that you will wear over and over again. And that it doesn't matter if you bought it this year or 2 years ago or 10 years ago, as long as it still reflects who you are and you still feel the way you want to feel when you wear it. I might be in a small bubble here, but I also don't think many people go around and comment and say, oh my God, like she's wearing that. It's from like, 2016, or can you believe he's still wearing like red ties? Like no one does that anymore. I don't think that is the vernacular that we're using when we talk about people's style. We talk about it like oh my, did you see her? She looked so amazing. That blazer looked great on her. And really that color was, I've not seen that around, or I loved the fact that he was rocking like a bow tie. Like how cool that he wanted to go down a different route, or he looked really sassy, or whatever it is. I think there's a big movement for people to really try and embrace who they are and appreciate their unique qualities. And I feel like there is a movement away from blindly following what other people dictate to you from above. Like, this is what you need to wear to be in. In saying that, there is an aspect of humans where we do like to be part of a tribe. We like to feel like we belong somewhere and we're included and we fit in. So I think that clothing can definitely play into that. So people who feel unsure about their tribe, or they don't feel like they fit somewhere in society, can often, be drawn to trends, because it is a way to be like, well, I know that I'm wearing the right thing or that I fit in. Whereas I think if you have a lot of self-belief and you trust yourself, then I think that the people who have the most interesting style have things that they picked up at all manner of random places. Like, she might have bought that skirt at Chanel, but she might have bought the scarf at a local market that was made by a nana, and she might have got the shoes gifted to a friend from a friend who didn't wear them anymore, and she might have picked up the brooch when she was traveling in France. So I think there's such a beauty in having a story behind your style as well, rather than just being like a paint by numbers. I go out, I wear this. In fact, most of my clients come to me saying, like, I don't want to look like all the other mums at school. I don't want to look like all the other women in the office who are just wearing that one particular dress. But I don't know what else to do, because I don't really have any other examples of different styles around me. Like, often people do still get stuck into those, you kind of dress the same as the people around you. You know, that cliche of like, you are
you're the five. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it does apply with your style too, if you don't have an awareness of that, or a group that is, I guess, a little bit adventurous. Like, if everyone's kind of doing the same thing, then it can be hard for people to step out of that and choose something else if all of their friends are wearing the same thing, or people comment, family members, oh, why are you wearing that? It can be really challenging to be true to your style instincts if everyone around you is telling you they're wrong.
Yeah, and I love that sentence, what's the story behind your style? And one thing that I love to do when I go traveling is always picking up, unique jewelry or dresses or something a bit different, because I find that it is a really good souvenir. But when you bring it back, it's like, yeah, no one else will have this, and there's always a great story that goes along with it. So appreciate that. I was going to ask, just switching gears very quickly as we come to a close, which is so sad because I could talk to you for hours about this stuff. It's so intriguing and I love the work that you do. But we met up because I was a guest speaker at one of the sessions that you and Petra, a previous guest on the show, ran last year, and you did monthly meetups for women, which was brilliant. And I just want to ask you, because we've got a lot of people listening to this that are facilitators, trainers, or maybe starting to develop their confidence in speaking in front of groups. What do you think the skills are for someone that's speaking in public, and how do you prepare for these kind of gigs?
I think that the skills that you need to be a great speaker and facilitator is a genuine passion and curiosity and a desire to share what you know with an audience. I think it's also about working out the best way for you to communicate that. So I think a lot of people do force themselves into being a public speaker or being a facilitator when possibly they would be better off doing smaller workshops or one-on-one, or recording their talk and sharing it as a webinar or a recorded, having something on YouTube. So I think that great speakers aren't born, they train for it. But I also think that there is power in acknowledging what you're great at naturally and what is a struggle.
Yeah.
Especially around career and entrepreneurship, like there's so much hype around going your own way and doing it, following this path, and like the steps to success can feel really conformative, where, if you want to be successful, you have to be giving presentations, or you have to be doing this, or you have to be doing this. But I think that the most powerful, charismatic, mesmerizing speakers deliver it in a medium that suits their truest nature. So I think that's really important for people to consider, that they're doing it for the right reasons, which is different to that feeling of nervousness when you just haven't had a lot of experience. They're two different things. And I think that's really important to acknowledge as well, that as with any new skill, it is always uncomfortable. It is always awkward. You always feel like you sounded like an idiot, or your voice sounded weird, or that you rambled, that's what I think sometimes. But it gets easier and easier, and the more preparation you do. So in terms of, I've done a couple of speaking courses where I learned how to structure certain talks and just some really basic speaking skills. And I have done a few other deportment courses, and I really find communication a very interesting topic. So I watch a lot of talks. I listen to people. So I think preparation is key. Being true to yourself, preparation, and then also having the ability to just kind of laugh it off if something doesn't go well, because we're all human. Sometimes the best part of a talk is when someone messes it up and then makes a joke or just owns it, and people start to relate to you as a human and not just like a figure on stage or
that's unattainable. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that we all want to feel like we're heard and valued. And so I think that when you make people on the same level as you, and if you watch great speakers, they do that. They might be inspiring, and they might call you to action, or they might help you view the world in a different way. But you also feel like on some level, in some way, you get them, you connect with them. They are just like you. Maybe not in the way that the person next to you thinks. Like you might like, oh man, we totally get each other. Me and the speaker, we are thinking the same, but you're thinking it about the way he's sharing about that topic, and the other person's thinking like, oh my God, he walks like me. He just like has, he sounds like my dad. And also I found it really helpful to do lots of videos. So just recording myself and then playing it back and listening or looking. I use my hands a lot, and it's one of those things where I'm trying to use them in a way that feels meaningful and not just a unconscious kind of thing that I do to just fill the space around me. So there's some things that are hard to notice or change when you're in it, but when you can observe yourself, it allows you to have that ability to be objective and see, oh, actually, I do blink my eyes a lot. That might be a bit off-putting, or I have these strange, awkward pauses after I make a big point or something. I just need to look in that or something.
I gave a speech a couple of years ago, which was videoed, the first proper video that I'd had, and I thought I was felt very powerful and great on stage. And then I was watching the playback and my shoulders were kind of hunched, and I was like, what is the go with that? So something that I'm very mindful of is to getting those shoulders back and feeling more relaxed. Yeah, so really great insight in terms of recording yourself and playing to your natural strengths as well. But like you said, learning any new thing is you have to go through moments of being uncomfortable. Majella, thank you so much for sharing all your insights with our listeners. And if they want to get in contact with you, ask you questions, go on a bit of a shopping trip with you, or to see what you have to offer. Oh, and by the way, definitely hop onto Majella's website, because her website copy is unreal. If you want to figure out your uniqueness and how to articulate that, it's a great example. But where is your website and where can people find you?
I'm over all of the socials, Leanne, just under the Stylery Co, under my business name. So it's style with an RY, so like refinery, the Stylery Co. So Instagram and Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn under my own name, Majella McMahon, and I share slightly more, I guess, business or professional organizational style information over there. Or you can go to my website, which is thestyleryco.com. And there's lots of ways to contact me through all of those. I feel like we're all so contactable these days.
Yeah. And you've got to check 8 different apps to figure out where one message is.
Yes. And then someone said to me the other day, oh my God, we should build an app where all your messages get funneled into one home. And then my partner, who's in web and technology was like, what is in it for Facebook and WhatsApp and LinkedIn to all collaborate? Because why would they want to share their messages to go somewhere else?
Yeah, it would never happen. It's a great idea, but very unlikely.
Yes, we need to change this.
I totally agree. Majella, thank you so much again. It's been wonderful having you on the show.
It was my pleasure.
Hey, thanks so much for sticking around. You've reached the end of another episode of the First Time Facilitator podcast. Connect with the show at firsttimefacilitator.com or follow me on Instagram at Leanne Hughes to find out what I'm up to during the week. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to share it with someone who will also appreciate the insight, and make it easier for yourself and subscribe to the show in your podcast player of choice. Thank you so much for listening, and chat to you next week.